Now, it looks like Trump is making his move to basically stop those career politician individuals. We know those individuals that stay in government forever and they never leave. And Trump tweeted out that he's in support of imposing term limits on members of Congress. And this is what his tweet said. I recently had a terrific meeting with a bipartisan group of freshman lawmakers who feel very strongly in favor of congressional term limits. I gave them my full support and endorsement for their efforts. He's looking at this saying, listen, we need to get rid of these career politicians who never ever leave their position. And the limits would be congressional terms to 6 years in the House of Representatives and 12 years in the Senate. Actually, I believe they should be a little bit shorter than that, but hey, we'll have to start someplace. Now, it looks like Kim Jong-un agrees to an historic summit with Trump at the DMZ, and President Moon Jae-in is suggesting that Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. Only Obama can get the Nobel Peace Prize for doing absolutely nothing. And we could see right now that this summit is going to be held in late May. And this is going to be historic. This is going to be peace. We're going to see complete denuclearization. And the deep state is reeling right now. We see Mattis is saying that the U.S., well, they might be withdrawing some 28,000 U.S. troops stationed in South Korea. This might be on the table in future negotiations. James Mattis said that the continued U.S. military presence in South Korea may become part of the bargain with the North. So we're going to have to watch how this plays out. And we can see that they're going to probably take some of those troops, a portion of them, and send them home because they will not be needed. We see that there was an explosion in Syria, and people are blaming this on Israel. The U.S. is saying that we had nothing to do with this. Israel's saying that, yes, we attacked and we hit the Iranians and we killed between 16 and 26 Iranians. And Iran is completely denying this altogether, saying this did not happen. You did not hit an Iranian base. Iranians were not killed. And again, Israel is saying that they bombed this Sunday night with bunker-busting missiles, hitting arms depots in Hama and Aleppo provinces. These were the bases where Iran has been. And Iran is saying this is not true whatsoever. And we're going to discuss this a little later and mix this in with what Q has been saying. And we're going to see what actually really happened out in Syria. We see that Netanyahu is out there and he's talking about Iran having a nuclear program, that they are creating nuclear weapons. And yesterday we talked about Q, where the development of nuclear weapons is happening in Syria, not in Iran itself. Many people believe that it's happening in Iran, but you have to remember the IAEA, they inspect Iran, they look at everything, and they basically have said that no, there is no nuclear weapons being developed in Iran. Now, if people are questioning the IAEA, then they would have to question them for every single country, and this would be a complete and utter disaster. Now, of course, Israel is out there, and they're saying, no, they have proof, they have documentation, and they're showing the world all about this, and we're going to discuss this in a little bit. But we could see right now, things are really heating up in this area. And when we look at what is happening here, there was really no credible evidence in the documents that was actually presented. This is more of a stunt. We've seen this red line thing before that they discussed, that Iran is, crossing the red line, or Syria is crossing the red line, and they're using this for a specific reason. Actually, Q has been reporting that this is being planned and maneuvered for a specific reasons, and we're going to go back over the post to tie everything together. We see James Mattis, he's going to seek to waive sanctions for the U.S. allies that buy Russian S-400 or other Russian military equipment, And it looks like they're trying to waive the sanctions on these allies, saying, listen, they've been purchasing it all along. There's no reason to sanctioning because they have to buy the parts, they have to buy other things. And again, we don't want to hurt our allies. So they're looking to waive this altogether. Mattis is out there saying that they don't really want to leave Syria while the war is going on. Now, Trump is saying that we want to take the troops out of Syria. We want a complete withdrawal. There's no reason to be in there. We're not there to fight Assad. We're there to get rid of the Islamic State. And Mattis actually is out there saying that the Islamic State is virtually wiped out and has suggested the rest wasn't America's battle. He's saying that the U.S. diplomats, they need to move now into deciding what we're going to do. And it looks like they're setting all of this up to actually withdraw the troops. But I do believe they have one more thing to do in Syria, and that is to go after the deep state, because Trump did make an announcement, and he was in a joint conference with Nigerian president, and he talked about how the U.S. doesn't want to be the world's policeman anymore. And there's no reason for the U.S. to be the world's policeman. And this is what they used to convince us that we were helping around the world. The deep state used this to say, we are the world's policeman. We need to make sure that people are following law and order and nobody's getting into fights. But behind the scenes, the deep state was creating all this. They created Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State. They had regime change. Actually, if you look at it, the deep state created all of the chaos that we're seeing around the world. Why? To push its agendas. Now, if we go to Q's posts, we have many, many interesting posts, and it's really great. All the Anons and Neon, Revolt, and the rest are starting to put all of this together. A lot of people doing a lot of research on this. And again, this is fantastic because it puts all the pieces together so we can see what is really going on here. We see that an Anon put together and is asking Q, is Eager Lion Iron Eagle? And Eager Lion is a drill that happens in Jordan. It happens every year where the U.S. soldiers and the Jordanian soldiers, they get together and they have drills. In the past, they used this as a stage to then go ahead and invade Syria and Iraq and things like that. And the Anon is asking Q, is Eager Lion Iron Eagle? And responded, do you believe in coincidences? Autists on fire. So it looks like Q is confirming that, yes, these are the same. Now, during the Q post, Q sometimes refers to black hats because they're listening in, and it looks like a black hat tried to make contact with him on the boards the other night. And Q came out and in post 1292 said, increased chatter, R.E. Mueller, are you confused? Attempts to contact have failed. Can you trust your move 11-9BD-23? Went on to say, shall we play a game? You know that we know. You know what we have. Your move. And he's actually talking to the black hat during this whole conversation. And Q did say in post 1293 that they do have the IP of the black hat who is making this post. So it looks like they're playing games back and forth, and it looks like Q is trying to basically play games with the black hat, the bad actors, and push them in certain directions, feed them with disinfo to see what they will do next. Now, another Anon asked Q a question, said, Eager Lion 18, what is that? And what does R stand for? And Q confirmed that 18 equals R, which is the letter R, which equals renegade, which equals Obama. And that's what that reference was. Q then points us to this tweet, and it's a twitter.com, U.S. Embassy Jordan status, and it looks like, welcome to Jordan, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. which he arrived in Jordan, where they're having Eager Lion. This is where they're having the drills. And then he asks us to connect it with the earlier tweet. Here comes the boom. Brace while an entrance is breached during exercise Eager Lion 18 in Jordan. Pompeo basically was making deals out in the Middle East. And he made a major deal in the Middle East. But for what? We don't know exactly as of yet. So we can see that with Eager Line 18, Jordanian Marines and U.S. Marines, they're conducting live fire training to rehearse operating in coalition environment. What are they doing out there? Well, Pompeo just arrived there, signaling the situation is under control. And we know clowns, the deep state, have secret bases all throughout the Middle East. So it is implied that the Marines are working with the Jordanians to coordinate some kind of military operation, presumably a strike against some kind of base, and then Pompeo strikes some kind of deal like he did with North Korea. So we see the same thing starting to play out there. Now, if the Iron Eagle theory is true, Obama was using shell companies to move money all throughout Iran. And remember this deal where Iran is receiving money. We talked about planes where there were 3 of them. It seemed like one went to Iran, one went to Syria, maybe the other one went to Syria or maybe even Iraq. So, and they were carrying, money. And the deep state receives this money and they use this money and they launder the money. And this is this entire operation where they're also supplying uranium and things like that. And they're pushing their agenda out in Syria. So are the Marines going after Obama's secret bases in Jordan? Most likely, this is what this mission was all about. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. But let's go to post 1305, where Q says no name out, where no name is going to resign. He's pretty much done. That refers to McCain. He calls him no name. And something's changed because he pointed to a link which is pointing to Twitter and Lindsey Graham. And it looks like something has changed with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham came out and he posted, James Comey, I don't trust him. I think he's part of an effort at the FBI to give Clinton a pass. The way they conducted the investigation was a joke. The thumb was on the scale. The head investigator by the FBI hated Trump, liked Clinton. Now, this is out of character for Senator Graham. Remember, he used to follow around No Name, which is McCain, like a puppy dog. Actually, if you look at some of the photographs, Graham and McCain were in Ukraine, where, again, we had this regime change there. They were controlling it. Actually, they were out there saying that this is the year of the offensive, which never really happened. We know that Graham and McCain, they've sat with other individuals from Syria, Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and things like that. And we've seen Graham and McCain, they were thick as thieves, and they used to, be everywhere together. Now it looks like the strings might be cut. And it looks like Graham is now separated from McCain. And what's very interesting about all of this is that McCain tells his son-in-law to take care of his daughter. So this is coming out of CBS News. Arizona Senator John McCain's son-in-law tweeted that the ailing Republican asked him to take care of his daughter as he continues to battle an aggressive form of brain cancer. And remember, Q did come out and say that this was fake. He really doesn't have brain cancer. I think he's maybe going to run or something. But it looks like he knows that the end is coming. And it looks like either he's going to exit stage left or something else is going to happen. Now, Q comes back with drop number 1306. Define the terms of the Iran nuclear deal. Does the agreement define and confine cease and desist pro to the public to the Republic of Iran? What if Iran created a classified satellite nuclear facility in northern Syria? Now, we went over this yesterday. Now, remember the Eager Lion 18 drill where the Marines, the Jordanians, are working together? Well, it looks like the U.S. and the Jordanian Marines ran a joint operation, and they took out a renegade-funded base. Now, it appears the location of the base has come to light. Now, this is what Israel is saying they have done, that they came in, they bombed this area, and they're saying that they killed Iranians. Remember, most of the stuff that we see on the news is really not what is going on. Everything else is happening behind the scenes. Just like during North Korea, the news reported, our nuclear button is bigger than yours. We're going to war with Kim Jong-un. You know, we're going to have this plan. We're going to lose this many troops. All of this is to keep everyone in the dark of what is really going on. Now, what it looks like here is Iranians weren't really hit there. Now, the Syrian state media says the source of the blast is unclear. Pro-rebel news outlet reports facility used to stage attacks on opposition forces. So what we're looking at right now is that this area that was hit was most likely manufacturing nuclear arms. Now, these were the people Obama was funneling money to through his little Iron Eagle shell company. And Hillary has been colluding with Russia the whole time, literally risking nuclear war and the destruction of our entire nation by basically selling them uranium-1, pinning this whole thing on Russia, bringing us to nuclear war. So we can see right now that what is going on here is that they're going after all these renegade sites. Now again, it doesn't mean that this is Iran. This is part of the deep state. This is part of what is happening, but they're using Iran as the cover. Just like they use Assad chemical attack as the cover. And they're doing this on purpose. So we can see right now what is going on here. Now, in The Sum of All Fears, now Q does mention the movie in The Sum of All Fears, the Russian president did not sanction the development of the nuclear bomb. Rogue scientists fled Russia to work on the bomb. A mysterious group of billionaire financiers, the Rothschilds and others in the real world, orchestrated the whole thing to start a war between Russia and the U.S. Did Putin orchestrate U-1 and somehow the uranium went missing? Did he never have a clue our government was selling uranium-1 to Russia deep state actors? Is Putin cabal? Or in the movie, he didn't know anything about this? Well, I think he might have known a little bit about this, but I think that he might not have been fully involved. Now, in The Sum of All Fears, it seems like the bomb actually came from Israel. The material came from the United States. And this is very interesting because we can see that Q is referring to this movie, letting us know how these things are working out. Now, we need to go back to post 199 because back then, this is November 22nd, 2017, Q actually dropped U-1, CA, EU, Asia, Iran, North Korea, links them all together, which is Canada, Europe, Asia, Iran, North Korea. He went on to say, where did it end up? What was the purpose? Why was the Iran deal kept from Congress and placed at the highest level of classification? Meaning a United States senator could not review the deal, but other foreign powers could. How much money was hand-delivered by planes? Why in cash? Why did the planes actually land? What was the cover? And he goes on, and he talked about this back in November. So materials were procured from the U.S., smuggled aboard through various countries, money laundered to bad actors to fund their operations, bombs constructed with the ultimate goal of being that of the movie Sum of All Fears, and a nuclear false flag on U.S. soil that could be attributed to Russia and start World War III. So we're starting to understand all this. Hillary and Obama literally sold the country out. The same with McCain and many others. They wanted us basically dead. And this is all part of the central bank's plan to reduce the population. Now, if we go back to Q Drop 570, Q explains how they had this 16-year plan to destroy America. Class 1 to 99, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton 8, World War III, death and weapons real, war fake. Saying that death and weapons, well, that's all going to be real, but the reason why we're having the war is completely fake. Now we see Benjamin Netanyahu give this speech about Iran. And he talks about how Iran has violated the deal, which Israel is not a part of. And basically what I see happening here is Q is actually setting up Israel. Now, Israel has other plans. They want Iran, they want Syria, they wanted this for a very long time. If we go back to post 916, this is March 10th, 2018, Q says we are saving Israel for last. Now, it was North Korea. I mean, he had other countries, Armenia in there, Iran, and then the last would be Israel. And I think he's using Israel, and this is why Pompeo went out there, to push the agenda of basically letting everyone look into what Iran has been doing, to push the movement to look at this deal very closely and maybe declassify it so other Congress people can look at the documentation, which they're not allowed to look at right now. So I believe this is a complete and utter setup, and it's a push. Do I think it's World War III? Not if they can avoid it completely, just like they did in North Korea. I think Trump, the Patriots, they don't want war. They're trying to shut this down and basically get all the links, get the documentation to show that these people, they are the ones who committed treason, who took the people's money, that basically funded these operations. Now think about it. They're going to have them on all of these charges, plus pedophile rings, plus everything else. They're putting everything all together. Now, Q addresses the question about Israel in drop number 1307. Knowing what you know, Israel disclosure moments ago saying that Bibi came out there and he discussed how Iran was violating the nuclear deal. Now again, the IAEA is in Iran inspecting everything. And the IAEA is the only body that can say they violated or didn't violate. Now, if they don't trust the IAEA, then the rest of the world has a problem because the IAEA inspects many other countries. And then they would have to call those inspections into question. So basically, to me, it seems like this is a setup. It's using Israel to push this agenda to have everyone look at this nuclear deal and basically make it declassified so more people can look at it and have Congress demand to see more of it. And I think this is the push so they can see what is really going on in there. Now, again, most likely what's going to happen is they're going to declassify it so few individuals, or maybe they'll form a group where they can look at it just like they did with the House Intelligence Committee, where they came out with these memos and there was no Russian collusion and things like that. The same thing might happen here with this deal. And Q went on to say, why is the Secretary of State there? Why is the EU, others pressing to remain in the deal? Now, again, why is the EU? Well, they want to remain in their Iran deal because they get a cut of all that cash. Billions of dollars. Very hard to trace. It's flowing in 0.5% of about 1.7 billion is $85 billion. So they're getting a piece of the pie. But the question is, why are the EU nations getting this money? What are they doing to get this money? They have to be doing something. They're something was being exchanged. So what did they get out of the deal? Well, the EU, they were cover for the shipment of these nuclear materials. Basically, our leaders sold us out. Foreign leaders plotted to wipe us out. And we can see right now that these people have committed treason. And it looks like what is happening right now is everything is being maneuvered to basically go after these people, destroy what they've been doing, gather as much intel as possible, have Israel push their agenda where they're showing everyone these documentation showing that Iran violated the nuclear deal, which they're not even a part of, and have Congress, which a lot of them are dual citizens, many are being paid by certain foreign entities, have them say, hey, we need to look into this. What have they done here? Have they violated it? And we know that if Israel does mention this, Congress is going to say, maybe there's something here. Maybe we need to look into this, and have them actually look at the deal and push Congress in this direction. And we can see there are many things in motion right now, and it looks like they're setting everyone up. There are no coincidences. They're setting all of this up, and all of this is being done on purpose to go after the deep state, to corner them, surround them, to get the paperwork, to get the links, destroy their facilities. Because remember, the deep state hasn't given up. They still believe they're in control. They're still moving forward with their plans to bring us to war. They haven't stopped. They always try to meet their goals, and if the first plan doesn't work, they move to the second plan. But they don't see themselves as being defeated. They just see a hiccup or a pothole in the road, and they go around it, and they still try to reach their goal. Think about how long they've been trying to remove Assad. Every plan they tried has not worked. But they kept trying. That's the point. So the deep state is not out. And again, Trump, the Patriots, they know this, but they need to play this out. They need to basically set them up, feed them disinfo, have Congress look into certain things, and this is how you push these bodies into doing something. They hear it, and people say, well, maybe we should be looking into this, and this is what they do. And they set up a committee. They declassify it where they get a few people in there to look at it. Everyone goes, holy crap, look what's in here. Oh my God, no wonder why we weren't allowed to see this. And the whole thing is blown wide open. And all of a sudden there's a call to basically rework the deal. And then they start pointing fingers at Europe. They start pointing fingers at Obama. This is what they want to come out. And you can see the game is being